Okay, doing my usual check that the video is working. Oh, am I having a ruin my hoodie day? There we go. And now I'm going to just check that I can hear it. Let's see. Having a ruin my hoodie day. Yes. Okay, I'm all set up. So if anyone joins me today, then I'm ready to see your comments and to craft with you. Let me erase that. I have last time I did a video, I worked on a wooden panel, which I love to do. It's here. And I ended up feeling like it was finished. I might add something like focal. I don't know. We'll see. No, it's a little too big to put behind me. But so today though, I was opening these calendars to put them up on my wall, and they had these inserts, cardboard inserts that were kind of a nice size. I think they're 12 by 12. Anyway, I've just sewed the front of one of them, and that's what I've gotten all over my sweatshirt. This is now my art sweatshirt, and I'm just gonna work on this today. I also have been unpacking, and I opened a box. I was like, what's in this box? And it was full of my jelly print. It had my jelly print basket in it, the basket of that I would just throw my jelly prints in when I was finished with them. And I just had a bunch of random stuff in it as well, because of course it wasn't just my jelly prints. And so I have a few things that when I may as well just go in. Glasses. Oh, turn this around. Have it pointing downwards. See if I can get this so that you can actually see the work. All right. Last week I feel like it was tipped the wrong direction. There, that's what it is. I've got my phone on the stand the other way from usual because the button's in the wrong spot. It's a long story. Anyway, trying to get it so that it's oriented correctly and doesn't give anybody seasickness. All right, I think that's right. Hey, Vicki. Oh, great, you went to Bainbridge. Love Bainbridge Island. So over in Bremerton yesterday, visiting my high school friend that I've reconnected with since I moved back here. So this basket full of weird stuff included this, which is one of my homemade stencils where I just cut out, I think this is just one of my AccuCut actual dies where it's all already laid out like that. And I've been using it as a stencil. It included these things. So these are pieces that I've used as shadows in my jelly printing, and then they end up super cool, printed themselves. And then I have these diamonds that I cut out of my jelly prints. And this is, once you start saving your jelly prints as backgrounds, you can go kind of crazy with them. So my thought was I would do some collaging and mixed media on the background, and then maybe what I'll do is bring these things in front. And I must admit, I don't usually work this way. I have a little bit of a design in my head. We'll see if it calls to me. So some of the things that are in my jelly printing box, need to get this, are these jelly papers. These ones are the ones that you can get. The papers are ones you can get at Smart and Final or kitchen supplies places, and they're for wrapping sandwiches. And I love to jelly print on them because you can see through them. And as you can see on this one. And so, hi Jill. So I'm going to be using these in my background today. And more. I also have, if you were ever in the shop, you saw this basket sitting around because I have it there all the time. Look, I just have, jelly prints coming out my ears. So I don't think I'm going to use any of the ones on the, I'm going to use the deli paper instead today. Oh, and this wax paper, right? I've told you before that sometimes the wax paper is more fun than the piece of artwork I was working on. So I have all this collage fodder next to me. I'm going to start by adding some, just some paint and stuff. One thing to note, when you're using cardboard, I mentioned that this is just a piece of cardboard. You can see that it is bowing a little from the moisture. That is, you know, an unfortunate side effect of using wet materials on cardboard. And so one thing I could have done if I thought far enough ahead, which I never do, is I could have gessoed the back side first, and that might have offset that happening. So maybe. Hey Lois, it's good to see your name pop up. It's been a while. I was in a class this morning and they were having us scrape background paint, and one of the participants was asked, why are you scraping instead of painting? Which is, you know, a good question if you're not used to mixed media techniques. But the answer is what got me. She said, because I don't want to clean my brush. And I just had a moment of like, oh, is that why I like to use a scraper? Because, you know, I don't like to clean things. Maybe that's why I use a scraper, so I don't have to clean my brush. Anyway, food for thought. It's because of the texture, obviously. I love the texture. And I do love the texture. Yes, Lois, I will be collaging today. And any of you who used to come to my collage classes and have materials, I encourage you to use them. Today I'm using this Holbein acrylic colors. They're matte acrylics. I've said many times now that I love matte acrylics. Somewhere I have a box with all the golden matte acrylics in them. And I will, as soon as I find those, I will add those to my repertoire. I am already kind of busting at the seams in this little office that I use. I'm trying to figure out a way to make the basement here usable as a studio. It's going to take a little bit of potentially construction work just to get one of the doorways open enough to be able to go in and out without danger. But anyway, once I do that, I'm going to be able to have a little bit more of a studio space and have maybe groups again working here in Seattle. And I'll be putting out a schedule, so if you're ever in the area and want to join me for an open studio, I'll be doing things like that. I have officially launched my private practice, so if you know anyone in the Washington state who wants to work virtually, or in Seattle that wants to work in person, I am taking clients. And you can see I'd already gessoed, which I don't always start with a gessoed surface. And the gesso, oh, that's interesting. So you can see I was highlighting some of the texture. I already, look at that. That's cool. Sorry, I'm fascinated with how that is interacting with the texture from the paint I've already put down, because normally I put it down in a way that it's pretty solid. Huh. So I'm basically covering the whole surface. I gessoed. I'm covering the whole surface with acrylics, and it will be nice and sealed underneath my collage once I start doing that. And once I start doing that, I'm going to start with what's it called? I'm going to be using gel medium. All right, this is an ink, a liquid ink. So I'm just kind of curious as to how that will interact. Oh, kind of the same thing. That's cool. And you know me, I'm not attached yet to what's going on the board. I'm just playing to see what I can get out of. And these inks are translucent, which is one of the things that's fun about them, but they are acrylic, so they will dry permanent. versus the spray inks that I use a lot. Those are not permanent, and so those will reactivate and hydrate and contaminate colors I put down on top of it. Sometimes I love that, like that. Sometimes that's what I want, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes it bothers me. Okay. Right now I'm just playing with the fact that so many of these colors are translucent, so you can see through them. It changes the color when you do that too, so. Okay, I'm gonna come in with some This is just light molding paint or light gel medium. I'll be using this to collage, but right now I'm going to use it to just seal down some of these colors in the background, just for fun. A little bit of this gel medium goes a long way when it comes to doing this sort of thing, just FYI. Don't need a ton. I'm just creating a small window. And I'm intentionally overlapping and sort of, not really being careful about where I put this so that I can get some interaction when I start adding color around this. One of my products, I mentioned this, that works really well for this is this technique is Seth Apter's ice. Yeah, I think it's called ice. He doesn't sell it anymore, but if you have any, you could use it this way too. a little bit. Okay. I've got my sidekick here on the side. There's some gunk on here. I'm just going to clean it off. Might be almost ready to call that page finished. I'm going to cap this just so it doesn't dry out while I'm playing around. And then I'm going to look for a couple things. One, actually I'm going to bring this down here. Let's see, where's that pink I was using? Oh yeah. Okay, well it's not pink, it's orange. And you can see actually I'm going to turn and work on this side of my sidekick. I'm sorry, do I keep bumping this? Is that why it's so out of whack? Anyway, I'm going to lay this out on my sidekick so I can use my sidekick as a brayer, to brayer first. So I get a nice thin layer on my brayer. Now I have all this texture. I'm going to see what happens when I roll over it. Everyone see how those textures are popping up a little bit when I do this? Getting a little bit. Hi, Jackie. Hey, Melinda. Hope I'm pronouncing everyone's names correctly. All right, so there's a little bit of a highlight, introducing a new color. I'm also gonna do this. Look at this thing of paint. I haven't even ever opened this. This is from a place in New York. This is a Wallace Seymour paint. I don't think I've ever worked with these products before, so I'm going to, how am I going to do this? I have this brush that I forgot to wash, so now it's a wedge. So I'm just going to bring it and do that. And now I have this. Ooh, what do I do with that? Anyway, let's see what happens. And I add, oop, do you see what it's doing there? It's pulling, again, it's highlighting some of that texture. And there's other ways too. I can just like find an image that I want to highlight and do it that way, or I can scrape it gently. Now this is a very translucent pink, it looks like, and so it's interacting with the colors underneath. So you can see it's purple over this turquoise color that's on there. Okay, let's see what happens if I have a couple of places where it's really thick. It's kind of a weird texture, almost like a paste. Okay, all right, that is a good start. I am going to dry this up really well, and then I'm going to pivot to doing some collage. So I am going to use my wedge. I'm going to clean this off over here. Try to get off any cruddies. And I'm going to be using my medium, my soft medium. And let's see. I'm going to work. Okay. I'm not too picky. I'm just going to try to work in strips. I'm going to start by ripping some strips of different pieces. Some of these are kind of blank, or I mean, literally, I'll save almost anything. So like there's some with barely any printing on them, and here's some with like sort of haphazard printing, and then there's that, and there's like that, much more. There's actually a direction on these, on this paper, so they were kind of tearing from me. All right, so rules of collage. They're not a lot, other than, you know, having something just plunked on a page can look funny, but once you have it interacting with other elements on your piece, it starts to make sense in our brains. So I can decide right now, do I want small pieces all over? And as soon as I add, I'll just do a piece right now so you can see it. As soon as I add the gel medium, it's going to change the quality of the paper. It should have it go more translucent. So I'm going to start by adding some on the piece, so it's under the part that I'm adding, and then I'm going to scrape some on top. And I'm using my wedge so that I get a nice solid connection to my substrate. Now I hope you can see that it has gone kind of translucent, and so you can see through it to the work underneath, and that's kind of what I'm going for. Now I didn't get enough under it, so I'm just going to peel that up and put some more so that it really is floating, and you know, it's got equal amounts under and over. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that. I'm very tempted because this is very directional. So part of me really wants to work with that direction versus the shape that I had pulled. And I'm going to, because that's just my brain needs it to be like this. You could use a paintbrush for this if you wanted. Absolutely. This is just me being, you know, loyal to my wedge. And I like, if it bubbles up, I'm okay with it bubbling up as long as I squish the bubble back down. I want that bubble to end up, you know, down into it. This is all still background work. My goal is to layer up at the end with those images. And so in some ways it's hard to see the jelly printing papers, what with everything else that's going on the page. or on the piece, not a page. You would know, Lois, you've seen me use them enough. Grabbing some more, seeing what I get. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, like this, because it's got some contrast, so. Nice big gob of gel medium. So I hope you can see why I try not to get too attached to my initial layers, because, you know, I do this. I come along and I add until those layers sometimes completely disappear. So, and sometimes I think, oh, but then I just keep going. More and more, said the baby. I'm not thinking a lot about the colors that I'm putting down and whether or not they match or clash too much. Again, this is all just intuitive mess making. I do like things to go off the edge of my paper, not hang off the edge. I like a nice tidy edge, but I like the imagery or the energy to be moving off the frame. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start thinking about using these elements. Do I want to do this now? I think so, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I have these diamonds, and I just have this vision of the diamonds marching across the top. And the diamonds are all cut from my jelly print, so it's, you know, sticking with the theme here. And I'm gluing them down with this gel medium, sealing them in. Hey Kendall, thank you. Thank you. I feel like you may have been there when I made these. Does look a little like caution tape. I agree. Okay. Kind of had this vision of it petering out. There'll be a lot of gel medium on this when I'm finished, which is great. Actually, I kind of like a piece that's sort of thick with paint. Kind of makes me happy. Ooh, how am I gonna do this? It wants to go. Actually, I'm gonna do it here. All right, I have one more. Let's see where I put it. Maybe here. This one's getting away off on its own. Okay, I like that. Don't worry if it feels a little muddy. I've got a plan. And then I have my people here. Now, before I put these guys down, actually, I have something I want to do. I pulled, backroom door maybe, or one of those brands that I had. I have a bunch of their all in crate. I don't know. A bunch of their stamps. Just wanted to come in and add some way up. No. Just add a little bit of, I don't like that as much as I thought I would, but okay. It's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to add my figures. Again, these are holdovers from when I was jelly printing more, and I would use these as blackouts, you know, like what's the word? Like masks. They're masks. Not masks like I'm going to kidnap you off the street masks, but like masks to stop the paint from going where I don't want it to go. Okay, there's one. Now these are thick. They're paper, sort of my jelly printing paper, which is a little thicker. I like to use a Bristol, 67-pound Bristol, if you want to remember. And then they have layers and layers and layers of paint on them. So these are going to take some encouraging to make sure they stay on the page. Okay, a little different for me. Hope you like it so far. Got some thoughts on what to do next. Let me think. Oh, I still don't have everything. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, that wasn't what I want. So now I'm going to think about this in a different way. I'm going to pull out this purple. Green. Oh, I have lots of greens. What am I looking for? Oh, this might be an idea. I've got some of Dina Wakely's words. See if that feels right. Silver guy covered in blood. Is that this one? It's pink. So that's interesting that it reads as blood. Oh, actually, I like that. Okay. I was done collaging, but I'm not. So these are Dina Wakely's collage sheets that she sells, that she puts together. A lot of it is musings, and some of it's encouraging, and some of it's more edgy. I kind of like how this is working. You can see that some of the words kind of nice. This one, we are capable. We are capable. I like that. This one says, thing you carry, everything you carry. Which they're pieces of bigger thoughts, but I like what's happening here. All of us are crazy. Preach, sister, right? At this point. We're all a little crazy at this point. Okay. I'm a little hesitant to blow dry the figures because they're so stiff. I worry that I'd make them pop off. But here, I'm gonna just do this up here and show you a little bit about what I was thinking of doing. And I'll turn it over. Notice that this wasn't sticking, so I'm just going to rub a little more with my fingers. I don't usually work with my fingers, but there you go. I say I don't do this and then I do it. Never say never. Okay, so now I'm gonna get myself my Uniball, these pens here. I really like these. These are what I've been working with for the most part if I want to draw on top of my pieces. So I'm gonna come in, this is the black, and I'm gonna highlight, and I already messed it up a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and be a little sketchy with it, because otherwise I'm just gonna upset myself. Oop. I should probably wait for this to be drier, otherwise I'm gonna keep doing what I just did. But I'm wondering, I'm assuming you can see through the video just how immediate it is when you start adding black and highlighting things like this. It just pops really fast, and you can really bring attention to certain aspects of your work this way. It's an easy way for you to sort of then decide for yourself what the focal point's going to be. I really like this diamond pattern, so I'm going to make sure that it shows up really well. Okay, so right off the bat, you can kind of see how that works with that. And then I'm going to let this dry a little more, but I'm planning to come in and do the same thing with the figures on here as well. And then, you know, I could come in and use some handwriting. My handwriting technique is to write Shakespearean quotes, but in a way that you can't actually read what I'm writing. I've also written letters to myself, letters to other people. I've yelled at people with my handwriting, you know, bits on paper. So, you know, it's it can be very cathartic. It can be a way to use your art as a place to put things that you don't want to carry around with you. So if you wanna say those things, just do it in a way. And here I'll demonstrate with my sidekick what I mean by that. So you could write, you could write, you know, piss off. Or you could write, right? You know what you were saying, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, it doesn't communicate that to anybody else. So, you know, you could write a letter to your 4th grade teacher about how she humiliated you in front of the class for not knowing where you were in the reading. You could write a letter to someone you miss. All sorts of ways, but again, do it in a way that just creates that you can't read it. Another option is I actually like to just write the alphabet, but like and one thing about this is that and one of the reasons why I suggest writing something that's real rather than just scribbling is that it looks more authentic, because real words include letters that you might not think to scribble, like F and P and Q and R. So it makes the writing look more authentic even if it's gibberish. So, you know, I could, even if it's gibberish, it can still look authentic. Okay. Okay. Sorry, little side demo there. Not sure yet if I'm going to do that on this piece. This piece feels almost kind of finished the way it is. But again, it might take looking at it in the morning when I come back in and see it on the table to decide that. Yeah. Yeah, this is too wet for me to draw on. I'm definitely going to come in and you know, draw around these figures because I want to highlight them because they're kind of lost here. But I am going to do one thing because I can't help myself. Can't help myself. I'm going to add some gold. Weird spots. Little intentional smears of gold. You know what? One thing I wanted to do, I'm just going to spread that out. I was thinking, okay, I need a block. Seriously, where's my block of paint? I need my black paint. All right, I'll just do this. This is a sort of turquoise color. It's dark though. So I'm going to use this. I have this craving to do this technique. I like to do this with, I don't think I have a credit card or an edge of a card somewhere. Tim Holtz, what do you call it? Ephemera. Basically, it's an interesting way to add some visual elements, add another layer of color, another little bit of veil. I will definitely lift it a little closer. All right, so what I'm doing here is I've been adding these little cross hatch pieces. Here's some gold that you can see that I just scraped on. These are the triangles that I've done. And so you can see how, like, I wasn't super happy with that there, the stamping that I put in, so that has helped mitigate that a little bit. So when you put a layer of something over top of something else, it puts that other thing into the background. Oh, I just created a clump. carry away there. So now I'm going to bring it in a little more intensely to make it on purpose. My card is failing me here. I gotta get another one. I have the last one I used that was like this. It was a Target, gift card that they give you when you spend a certain amount of money. I haven't been shopping at Target as much as I used to, so I pulled that out and used it. That was perfect. All right, so now to get contrary, I'm going to go the other way on some of these spots. Just a little bit. It looked like I did that on purpose. All right, that might be enough. There's a fair amount going on this page now, and I don't know that I need to add too much to it. I feel like I want to add just a little bit of a darker counterpoint to this since I kind of mucked that up. Bring this in a little bit more here. And the concept of threes, it's a feng shui concept, but it's also, there's something in our brain that likes things in threes. So having 3 dark spots could help make that feel a little less clunky. Edgier. All right, so I'm going to spread this out. I'm going to let that glue down. Maybe that too. Okay, so I think I'm going to call this done because I feel at this point I might be overworking a little bit. I have a feeling this one's not finished. I think that there's probably a word that's going to show up and end up on top of some of this. Kind of curious where my resist stamp or stencil is. Anyway, here's a little closer look. Let's see if I can get this in the frame. And again, this is just a piece of cardboard that came in my calendar. I gessoed it first, and I used exclusively acrylics today. And I collaged using soft gel medium matte. It's a matte finish, which is why it's not too shiny. Everything is acrylic. All right, oh, there are my hands, not bad. All right, so that's me for today. Done a lot of arting today, I'll be honest. It's like my 3rd project. Thank you so much for showing up again. I just love having this time and being reminded of what I love to do and to be able to hang out with you and see your names pop up. And I love it when you show up later and comment throughout the evening because you guys, a lot of you do. So thanks for coming, stopping in, and especially if you say hi, I really love that too. And I hope that you're arting. I hope you're getting some paint under your fingernails and finding the peace that comes in being creative. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.